children's accomplishments. Now, with 3 adult children with families of their own, she was not needed as a mother and no longer a wife. She had no purpose. Her ex-husband's affair decimated all status and belonging she held in her community. When I was a child, she would insist, "Your popo has become a useless nothing." It perplexed me, because I never saw her that way. But getting left by her husband wasn't her entire story. With the safety net of the ethnoburb, she rebuilt. After living with us for a few years, she moved into her own 1-bedroom apartment on Main Street in Alhambra, a city that neighbored San Gabriel at the heart of the ethnoburb. She walked to 85 degrees every day, where they rang a cowbell whenever fresh baos came out of the oven. She made friends with Cantonese neighbors in her building, and they started their own mahjong group, where they would debrief the latest episode of whichever Cantonese drama that aired on TVB the previous night. She found a Cantonese church and got baptized. She never learned English, drove recklessly in the 99 Ranch parking lot, and didn't give a fuck. She may have confirmed a few stereotypes, but the ethnoburb saved her. She stayed unapologetically herself through the upheavals of divorce and displacement. In the safety net of SGV, she got her groove back. Sometimes my mom would take my pawpaw out of SGV to go window shopping in Beverly Hills, and they would drag me along. As a child, pawpaw outside of the ethnoburb was a frightening, multi-sensory experience. She always brought her full self. She was large and in charge. She tried to bargain and make deals. In Cantonese. At Saks. They do not speak Cantonese there. They also do not tolerate haggling there. Her voice and presence were always loud, even and especially when we were the only Asians around. You don't speak Cantonese? Too bad, and sit tight, because Pawpaw is about to start her diatribe about her cheating ex-husband who you've never met before in a language you don't understand. 626 or 90210, my Pawpaw did not code switch. I, on the other hand, started my PhD in code switching when I was 9, after transferring to an uppity, predominantly white private school. Pawpaw, outside of the ethnoburb, was an unassimilable tornado that left me in the dust, embarrassed and flustered. Whiteness taught me to be ashamed of her behavior, because whiteness is actually terrified of people like my pawpaw, coming out of the ethnic enclave and daring to assert herself into white spaces. When immigrants like my pawpaw settle in a place like SGV en masse, white people are so afraid that they need to relocate. It's called white flight. It scares them when we collectively create our own belonging without participating in the traditional time-honored process of assimilation. In ethnoburbs like SGV, white flight occurred because too many Asians like my pawpaw arrived, bought up property, refused to acculturate, and made it our own. We disturb whiteness and destabilize American respectability politics when we create and thrive in our own systems without them. The ethnoburb flourishes despite not assimilating. In fact, it flourishes because it doesn't assimilate. My pawpaw and the ethnoburb demonstrate that we can create our own power and belonging without learning English, participating in white institutions, and Americanizing. But it is a communal endeavor, one that requires everybody's imagination and care. Unassimilability is not an act of individualism. It is an interdependent community of pawpaws finding each other, helping each other refill their prescriptions, and setting weekly dim sum dates so nobody gets too isolated. I question if my pawpaw could have had her comeback tour if not for the Asian immigrants who came before her and with her, collectively creating their own sense of home in the diaspora through the ethnoburb. As many early Asian immigrants to this country were barred from accessing white institutions, working together to build and protect the ethnic ecosystem was a matter of survival and necessity. Over a century later, unassimilability is the vision I witnessed among my pawpaw and her friends in the ethnoburb, relying on each other in their collective insistence to thrive in their latter years away from their homelands.